Okay, good evening. Welcome to the May 1st Churchill Borough Council Workshop Meeting. We're happy that you are here, that you're all here. And Alex, if you'd like to start with the roll call, please.
Yes, Jay Dorn. Chet Williams.
Here.
Deb Cassini-Klein.
Here.
Matt Castillo.
Present.
Andrea Datillo. Valerie Renthaler.
Here.
Mayor Paul Gamrad.
Here.
And of course, Diane is here.
Here. Okay, for those of you, we don't have anyone in the room who wants to speak to us from the public, so we do have some people online. Please state your name and your address, and you have up to 3 minutes to speak with us. Alex, you want to start?
Of course, if you'd like to speak this evening, please raise your hand and you'll be promoted to an attendee. I mean, to a panelist, sorry.
Just as a reminder, if we have any first-time users, there is a button at the bottom of your Zoom screen where you can click raise hand. Of course, we're a team.
We have 10 attendees with us and joining 6 panelists this evening. So
Does anybody want to speak to us this evening?
I'm going to allow the calling user to speak in case they
Okay.
want to ask them to unmute.
No? Okay. All right, well, let's move on to item number 3, discussion items. Has everyone had an opportunity to see the draft minutes from April? Any questions, concerns? Okay, well, then we'll act on that next week. We have also then number 4, staff and agency reports. Dennis from Gateway. Dennis?
Yes, thank you. The only quick update that I have, I know that we've submitted our report, and that should be in your binder for the paving program that was awarded for discussions at last month's meeting. Pre-construction meeting is anticipated for next week, and at that time we should have a better understanding of the schedule for it to be.
Great, everything's moving right along. That's good.
And I do believe an interest for us all from the road, traffic signs, the speed warning signs. Where are we at with that?
Yeah, the permitting plans have been prepared for that. We are waiting on one additional thing from PennDOT. It is hopeful that those permits will be submitted to PennDOT end of this week, beginning of next week, and we'll make sure that we continue to stay on them to push for urgency to get that information back so that those can be put up as quickly as possible.
Do you have any sense of how long that normally takes PennDOT to do?
They have, and I believe it's an internal deadline of 30 days
Okay,
that they have, but again, we'll try to push even further, faster than that for the return of that permit.
all right, thanks. Alex, are you receiving your answers report?
My manager's report is submitted.
Okay.
Speaking of PennDOT, we have a meeting set up to meet with them later in the month related to the road. So there's a lot going on in the report. I added some more to the report. I really want council members to look at it and provide for me feedback. Talked a lot with Diane about things we want to add to it so that you guys are all current on what we're up to. And then please also note staff are doing monthly reports as well. They'll be in the regular meeting binder, but we'll be in the future including those in the workshop binder. Especially with new staff, we want you to all see the way work tasks are being divided. And you'll be able to tell that by their activity levels and what they're working on.
Thank you. That'll be helpful. Thank you. Okay, Public Works, Mr. Bigliotti, I think that's just going along the way it should. Woodland Hills EMS.
Again, what happened with the meeting occurring on the 1st of the month, a lot of folks like Bigliotti, like the EMS, their monthly reports aren't completed until the 1st. So I'm just getting those in now, and they'll be in your regular meeting binders for review.
Okay. We have anything from Wilkinsburg 10?
Yeah, that was submitted over the weekend. That will be
Okay. And nothing from the library, or do we have?
It's the same company.
Yeah, same thing. Okay. Tax collector,
Same as well. I think we're
Okay.
start, she has her month-end reports to us.
Okay. The Turtle Creek Valley Council of Governments, Matt and I went to the board meeting the other evening, and I think the major thing there is that they're doing the housing program. And they're also going to be doing things with, they want to do more with the police training. So, other than that, the executive director's report is in the binder. If you want to read that and see what she's been doing, we'll be continuing to go to those meetings, and anything you want us to take to the meetings, let us know.
I would stay, if you could, up with their code enforcement software and all that they're doing there. They're surveying municipalities all over Allegheny County to gauge the level of interest of others participating in that. As you know, Churchill was once a COG client as it came to code enforcement. And so I would stay tuned to that. The software they've developed, I think, has gone through a lot of trials to get to the point where it can be very useful for us.
Yeah, well, that was problematic at one point, which is one of the reasons why we have. We'll keep up with that. We're also going to be having some additional conversations about code enforcement and what other options we might have. So management and government will deal with that, and then we'll bring our thoughts to the whole. So the committee assignments, I think, I'm not sure what Jay might have wanted to do with those, but please let management and government know what your thoughts might be on that, if you have any.
So I thought he wanted to add the ad hoc committee for the zoning update, which is himself,
Yes.
you, and Matt from the infrastructure committee.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would just mention that, I think Jay had mentioned that because it's a heavy lift, it didn't make sense to keep that in the infrastructure committee with as much going on, it made sense to kind of break that out as a separate ad hoc committee to specifically deal with the zoning updates and working with Patrick.
Yeah, the situation there is that we've had in the spring of 2020 the planning and visioning process, which went on. In fact, it was the first Zoom meetings that we had. We were hit with COVID, and we had a wonderful planning and visioning process in the spring there, and lots of input from the public, and did a survey and so on. So where we are now is picking up on that, and we have hired Hashek MTR, who are planners, and they're going to be going through our zoning and giving us recommendations, and meanwhile they're going to be gathering a lot of information. So we will keep everybody informed when there are things happening there that are showing progress. That's good.
Beside the committee, we'll be with the trusted hand of our solicitor, who
Absolutely.
and with the ordinance quite intimately over the last few years, but with the borough for about 10 years and has a lot of thoughts. So it's a combination effort, really with Gavin's firm and his expertise as well.
Obviously, we're going to keep our counselor busy with something else now.
I don't doubt it.
Right, okay, let's see. Now, Alex, do we have any applicants for either the tree committee or the zoning hearing board? We do.
We have 2 applicants for the tree committee.
Great.
Wednesday, Andrea, Matt and I, we have our climate action meeting, and we're going to be discussing them.
Great.
So, yeah, we may be picking them soon.
Super, okay. Should we plan on that for the next month or next week?
Probably next week, because we've already discussed it. Yes.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Okay. Now, zoning hearing board, I put out the notice that we're looking for people for that.
Yeah, we have one opening.
We got one. No,
we
didn't
do not
get
have an
one.
applicant.
Okay,
We have one opening, and many of you might know, or some of you might know, we do have an application that will have to go before that. And Gavin and I are talking about it, as well as you might recall that they have their own separate council.
yes,
Zoning hearing board does, and meeting with them just to kind of make sure we're doing everything we need to do. It's an application for a sign along Rhode Island Road. If you are headed north from William Penn, Business 22, and you're heading into Penn Hills, there's a steep slope that heads up towards the hotel up in that area that they're looking at putting along that bank. And they need, or they're requesting variances under our zoning code. So stay tuned,
Yeah,
because there likely will be a zoning hearing board meeting in the future, and then follow-up meetings and so forth. Anything else to add?
I would just say, I think we plan on having an executive session next week to potentially talk about that piece of litigation, depending on the council wants to take a position on it.
Great.
we'll look forward to hearing all those materials. Okay, Val, would you like to talk about the letter of interest for the other consult?
I think Alex should be best. of all.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I am sharing the agenda so folks online can follow along. For as long as anyone can remember, Churchill Borough has utilized contractors to provide public works services. It's a very rare thing that we do. And for, I'm not sure how long, it was a service that was done formally, informally with different contractors to plow the roads, patch the potholes, crack seal the pavement if there was defects, cut grass, do some snow removal around the building and so forth. General public works services. I should also know we have other contracts with landscapers on the building, contract with someone to clean the building. We have contracts with the COG to do street sweeping. We have contracts with the COG to do vac trucks to come in and vacuum. We also have contracts for construction. We have contracts for manhole to manhole lining, and also contracts for televising our sanitary and sewer systems. So lots of contracts. But a number of years ago, I think when Gavin came on, he began to recommend to the council that we actually formally bid this service of public works because of the size of the contract and the scope. And if you're familiar, recently, last year, we did that for waste management and sanitation for municipal solid waste and recycling services. So it's not something the council is not familiar with, but you did that, I think, for the first time in 2017.
Maybe 2014.
Okay, possibly there was another
I think
iteration.
it was a 2014 to 2017, 17 to 20.
Yeah.
So all that to say, we are looking at rebidding out this year because the contract, the agreement with Bigliotti expires. And we've reached out to the state to get some technical assistance. What the state would like to do is know that the council really wants to make the use of that technical assistance. So they asked that we formally request through a letter of interest, our desire to have someone, peer consultant, give us their expertise when we review and create these specifications. Again, then the idea would be we would approve, advertise those specifications and entertain contractors to fulfill that service. We're super happy with Bigliotti. They've done everything we've asked them to do and more. And there's a lot to that contract. It's 24/7, 365 when it snows, when it floods. Bigliotti is who we go to provide that service. So it's not that we're dissatisfied. It's just the normal course of action to re-advertise and seek bids. And I'm sure they'll be one of the bidders.
Sure.
But we're very interested in that. So I'd like your permission this evening to sign and execute that letter of interest to the state so we can take advantage of their service. There's no fee on our part. There's no match on our part. They pay entirely for the contractor that they have to provide us to that service.
What more can we ask?
So I motion,
Before you do
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
I think Mr. Castillo may have for your motion before your motion.
So I would like to make a motion that we amend the agenda for item number 5C. Instead of discussing, we amend the agenda to say that we're going to vote on approving, moving forward with that.
So Robert's rules.
New Sunshine Act too, you know, that's the.
So I'll make that motion.
We need a second.
Second.
Motion to amend.
But to be clear on this, just gonna ask a question. We advertise these meetings and we can make decisions.
You do, however, because the agenda listed as a discussion item and not a action item, I think
Okay.
just to be on the safe side, it's probably a close call, honestly. But there's no harm in it, certainly to amend the motion, so I think that's.
I love the format.
And per one of the recent trainings that I attended, they said that it's best practice to do it this way.
That's
Okay,
right. That's
good.
right. Okay, so do we have a second? Do we have a
Yeah,
second?
I second.
Second, okay. Questions? All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Okay. Now, you can move forward.
Now I motion to allow the manager to sign the letter of intent.
second,
Questions? Comments?
I'm sorry, just as a further point of discussion, I would just point out, for anyone that was involved in our police regionalization, this was a similar program where, that the expertise and the chief, retired chief that helped with that and helped us, walk through that process and learn about it more, was paid through the same program.
Right.
So it's really free technical expertise and support, shared services, which, doesn't get any better than that. I don't think it does, so.
Seems like it would just be best practice to do something like that.
And it's a wonderful resource, a
Yeah,
wonderful opportunity, and
Why not?
it's surprising that there aren't more municipalities that take full advantage of
Advantage
it.
of
I'm
it.
glad that we are doing that, because it's.
Thanks to our manager.
Yeah. Any other comments? No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Let's see now, Finance Committee. Item number 6.
We met, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I can't- I know. Seems like it. We met 3 weeks ago. We had a great discussion. One of the big things we talked about was budget prep. I know it may seem a bit early, but it is never too early. And Michelle was able to, and the finance committee has seen this calendar, budget prep of timeline of when we want things in for staff to include in the budget, to eventually vote on it at the end of the year. Anything you would like to add to that, Alex or Michelle?
I don't know if Michelle accepted the two motions.
Oh, yeah.
Permit her to talk.
Yeah, I would just say that there's a nice report in your binder.
Yes.
So you can see everything that was
Yep.
discussed and where they're headed and when. So we'll do our best to support you in every way we possibly can, because it's a big task.
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
Okay,
It is a lift.
now, public safety.
We did, I don't know, Michelle?
You want to wait for Michelle?
I don't know if she wanted to say something or not. I wasn't sure.
Michelle, if you'd like to add anything, please do.
Hi. Yeah, no, I think Chairwoman Reinthaler stated, what was appropriately covered with the Budget and Finance Committee a few weeks ago. And then I did have a draft 2024 budget prep calendar because we can't start that soon enough.
I would add that the Treasurer's report is becoming more detailed.
Yes.
And we really want it to be your guide month to month of what's happening with the budget and all the questions you might have. Please send them to us so that we can improve that report and make it more useful for you.
Yeah.
Longer isn't always better.
Well, the report last year was absolutely wonderful, and if that's the template, I'm feeling real good about it. Okay. So, under public, anything else, Val? No. Number 7, public safety. Alex brought to our attention the fact that, National Police Week is, May 15th. And his recommendation is that we adopt a resolution recognizing, National Police Week. So, anything else you want to say?
Well, I mean, it couldn't be any better time than tonight to talk about that just quickly. As many of you are aware, there was 2 tragic fatalities in the borough this past weekend. And one dealt with the interstate and a pedestrian, a disabled vehicle motorist was walking off and was unfortunately struck and died. And then, of course, we had the accident on Beale Road. What people don't know is that when a fatality is involved, Roads are closed for a very long time, but because of social media and the way the world works, it's so different than maybe in the past. Our officers and first responders found themselves with about 25 or so family members of the deceased and those involved in the accident. And one can only imagine the distress and trauma that is being experienced by people who are in that situation. And everyone reacts differently. But our police don't. And they reacted with true professionalism, remained steady and calm. And though there were times where people were very demonstratively upset, our officers just continued to do their job in a professional way. No unusual incidents occurred out of all that, but it's a lot to handle. Because you have accident investigators, you have first responders who are doing their cleanup work. You're trying to control traffic because you're closing the road for a long period. I think it was 6 to 7 hours in length of what the road was actually
The officer
closed.
was there for 6 or 7
Yeah,
hours.
and the officers of our police department were there, again, managing that situation with grace and high level of professionalism.
I would just add to that, that having been in this seat as long as I have, you know, our residents see our police officer in calm environments, you know, in very positive and, you know, happy environments. They don't see them when they're confronted with an emergency out of left field. And I am constantly amazed at how fine these people are at what they do. That's both fire and police. And we really, from all reports I got for this weekend, I mean, that was 2 huge things in one weekend, and we're very proud of them.
And I'd like to just add one thing. I happened to talk to the aunt of one of the deceased, and she reiterated what you said about how wonderful the police were and how they handled it. And that's always nice to hear. Because it was so tragic. Yeah,
but there's a report in your binder. The committee met and we heard both from our police chief and our fire chief about challenges that they are facing. And we wanted to lay that out because we need to pursue how we can support them in both of them have, and this is true nationally, big challenges with recruitment. There are fewer and fewer people who are going into the field. There are more and more people who are leaving the field early. There's tremendous competition. For the first time, we've never really had this kind of competitive situation in Churchill. So read the report. You have any questions, ask us, and you know, we'll move forward on that. Anything you want to add to that, Paul?
Yeah, you know, just, I talked to you briefly about this the other day when I talked to the chief about, a resident on one of our streets, and so we're looking up that resident, and the information on the current resident was not there.
Right.
So he said it's an easy fix to get that, you know, carried over to their system, so when they look up someone, they have up-to-date information. We'll be working on talk about that.
I mean, we have some things to help with, some ways that they need to be supported in what they do, and particularly moving forward in terms of technical assistance, upgrading. We've upgraded everything over here. We want to make sure that they've got, you know, everything that they need over there. So you'll be hearing about that, but we're awfully proud of our folks. So infrastructure.
Excuse me,
Sure,
before we move on to infrastructure, I do have a question for the Public Safety Committee. I'm looking at the report and possibly I missed this, but is there any update on the contract negotiations with the police department?
Yeah, that's not being done through public safety. It's being done through management and government.
Okay.
And we are at a point now where we're going, having meetings, going back and forth, and there's been no contract signed, but we're moving along.
Okay, and then a follow-up question to that is, I believe a few months ago, we approved to move forward with entering in with the Turtle Creek Valley COG to entertain applications for a new officer. Is there any updates on that?
Yes, correct me if I'm wrong, I think there was only one who ended up being.
Two were tested.
Two
Were tested, and I
Oh,
who were
believe,
tested, but one
Only
was-
one
Only
was
one was
qualified.
eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
right, and I believe they received an offer from Forest Hills
that's correct.
Yep.
that they decided to accept.
That's correct.
Mhm.
You know, once again, there's a very small number of people who are applying for these positions. So that's where that is going.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, now infrastructure.
So just as an update, I think we mentioned this previously, but you know, the bids that were received on the locker room, you know, speaking of our police and needing to do some updating to their facilities, locker room and for female and ADA bathroom upgrades, you know, weren't consistent with what they were supposed to be. So the COG is working on having that project rebid. And Alex, do you have a timeline on that?
May 23rd, Tuesday is the day when both of those bids are due.
Excellent. So we're hoping that after that, with some clarification, we'll still have competitive bids that come in, and hopefully they'll be in the correct format so we can move forward with getting that work released. Again, in the binder is the draft of the sanitary sewer lateral inspection ordinance. So again, we've discussed this quite a bit, but you know, it really comes down to protecting, you know, the borough residents' health, safety, and welfare, and then, you know, certainly anyone who is purchasing or buying property in the borough, making sure that they don't have cracked laterals, you know, underneath the ground that are allowing, you know, sewage to leach out into the ground, into neighbors' yards, or stormwater to enter, which then, you know, overwhelms the system and, you know, leads to additional overflows in the wet weather project and the rivers and everything else. So, again, this is something we've talked about quite a bit, but it is a best practice. It's something we should have been doing, and ultimately we're getting that done. So take a look. If anyone has specific questions, I'm happy to discuss them, but the committee has, you know, certainly worked diligently on that with advice from, you know, our engineering consultant, and then the staff, you know, Alex and Ralph have been very diligent in going to see a couple of our other neighboring municipalities, how they're doing the work, and find out some best practices. So we feel really good about what we have.
Yes.
So I apologize, I'm just listening to you. I probably should have made it clear on the agenda. Next week, we want to get permission from council to advertise. That would mean, you know, sometime in June, you know, we would be looking at possibly, or even July, and we're talking about that. So we can elaborate on that.
Yeah, so the next steps would be if council, you know, decides to move it forward and advertise it, we'll have a public meeting, you know, public hearing for input, and then there would be a vote on it. If it is voted, you know, to move forward with it, we would have to pick, you know, after that timing, we'd pick a certain day where we'd say, okay, any real estate sales after this date, you know, this is applicable. And based on the timing, we're thinking that's probably going to be August 1st, but you know, we'll nail that down here shortly, again, if council agrees to move this
Yeah,
forward.
thanks for clarifying that
Yeah.
at this point. So it's not going to be retroactive. It's going to be a start date.
Gavin,
after
you
the
might have
action
some thoughts about how they word that, or how we word that in our ad, and then also
Yeah,
adopt it.
we need to make that clear. Thanks for that, Matt. And what else do you have?
Sure. And then the last thing on here is, you know, just discussion or about adopting a resolution to, you know, recognize National Public Works Week, May 21st through the 27th. So, you know, this is the 63rd annual year, and I'll be honest, I didn't know that was a thing until Alex brought it to my attention. So, you know, I feel that it's an excellent opportunity for us to recognize our folks internally that work hard, and, you know, we should do more of these things.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
in general, April is when local government is recognized. The state governor does his governor's local government excellence awards. May has the police, as we've already mentioned, public works. October is when we get the fire. A lot of people are familiar with the idea of the clock changes and checking your batteries and your smoke detectors. So we'll be trying throughout the year to raise the level of awareness for the different entities that serve us, and promote the good work that they do, and again, celebrate that quietly, without a lot of fanfare. There's all kinds of people serving us,
Yeah.
and it's just a great way to say thanks to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing we need to give some thought to, I think, is how we share with everybody in the community, how many people help us in how many ways. So Great newsletter and so on.
Then the last thing I want to put in there, Diane, is that, we had previously talked about, safety concerns on some of our corridors, Beulah is certainly one, there's some others as well. Again, there's been some discussion back and forth, and I know that we've attempted to work with PennDOT and LTAP and a few others, and we've kind of gotten some disparate information. The kind of standard practice in the past from PennDOT was to kind of treat each one of those kind of individually, which the problem is that you don't necessarily get a holistic solution. What the good part is that we reached out to PennDOT and said, hey, can we have a meeting on this? Can we sit down and really kind of discuss this? And one of these things that they're looking at is, okay, how do we take a corridor approach? And we have, corridors or areas that are a safety concern, how do we address these issues? So we're not causing an issue by just saying, all right, put a signal here and that's it. We're only studying this one intersection.
Right.
We really need to look at this as a 30,000 foot approach. So the infrastructure committee's been invited, Chief Ron, staff, Ralph, Alex, to a meeting, to sit down with the PennDOT, the new person that took over after that retirement from PennDOT District 11. And I believe that's May 23rd, but it's on the calendar if you didn't receive it.
But later in the day.
Okay. So we are moving that, important work forward and hopefully we'll have some good news.
I really appreciate your focus on this and the fact that you're working to get this special meeting, because that is exactly what has happened in the past. It's spot here, spot there. We know from all that we've learned the last few years that the whole distance of Beulah Road, for example, it works together or it doesn't work.
Right.
So I'm grateful that you're doing this. It's great.
Let me circle back just to the National Police Officers
Yeah.
Week. A couple months ago, 2 residents contacted Deb and I, and they had planned on doing something. They were trying to coordinate with us as a borough, and they as residents, I think they decided to do some kind of baskets
Yes, they did.
for the emergency responders.
Oh.
I'm talking to people over in Rural Hope.
Oh, okay.
Linda Steed
Linda
was one of them.
Steed and,
Mrs. Cannon was
Right.
the one.
Yeah.
So, because they want to do a kind of a dinner thing, and something like that is nice, but these guys don't live right close
No,
to here,
that's
so
right.
it's hard to work all
Get them
day,
all
hustle
together.
and come back.
Yeah.
This was something they thought they would do, is they go small little token of a basket or something, in appreciation.
Yeah.
That reminds me, Mayor, it's amazing every December how many people bake cookies and drop food off
Yeah.
for our first responders.
Right, it's so nice.
for Public Works.
Mhm.
The tough part about it is it comes all in about a 2-week period.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Some of the police officers kind of are cross-eyed. They don't want to see
Yeah.
another cookie. So maybe some might move, instead of doing that in December, to May.
Right.
18th,
It
right.
would be very much appreciated, maybe
Right.
at the end of May or
That'd be
middle May, then.
Wonderful.
But I believe Linda was working on doing all those baskets
Okay.
for them
Yeah, they
in the
have,
next couple of weeks, so. I think
People are
it's-
extremely thoughtful. It's hard
Yeah.
to imagine. I'm always amazed of all the things, from your postal carrier to your newspaper carrier that you have to think about in December, but then they come to the public, they come to our building with cookies and other kinds of goodies. You're like, wow.
And when you people
I never
move in
did
on
that.
the street, somebody comes across the street with banana bread and a hello,
Mhm.
and that's the kind of place we live.
Right,
We have great residents.
Right, we do.
and they're very appreciative.
Yes. Okay,
Okay.
communication committee.
You guys got my email this morning, a friendly reminder that summer newsletter is going to be coming soon.
Mhm.
Articles are due to Alex on Thursday, June 1st. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We met and have lots of great ideas and things in the works that I'm excited for up and coming new
I
things that are
think the
happening.
committee's like the busiest. So
I don't
Just saying.
know. I don't
Business.
know. I was just
This
saying
is the
infrastructure is
business.
pretty busy too.
It is busy.
It's all right. I'd rather somebody else be more busy than I am.
All I can say is that they just keep getting better and better and better. And
The
I'm just as
newsletters,
tickled as-
yes.
I'm
Yeah.
just as tickled
And
as I
the
can be.
communication all around.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. One of the things that we talked about was Savvy Citizen. If you have not signed up for Savvy Citizen, please do so. It's really easy. You do not need a smartphone. You can get notifications sent via text if you do not have a smartphone. If you do have a smartphone, you download the app. It's called Savvy Citizen, and you can sign up to get
Yeah, and it's
notifications.
just more than emergency alerts or
Correct.
weather alerts.
It is a lot more. So when we publish things, or we also publish the agenda, we publish the manager's blog on there, things like that. So any sort of information that we push out goes on there.
The Churchill
The
dinner.
Churchill dinner would be on there, the bunny parade, when we
Right.
have the Halloween things, we
Right.
had Santa, all of those things get published on Savvy Citizen. So
Mhm.
if you do not have it, please sign up for it. If you have any questions on signing up, please email me. I would be more than happy to help you out with that. We're trying to get more people to sign up. I think last time we checked, it was a little over like 1,400
That's like in my
people.
report. Somewhere.
Yeah, I can't remember it off the
It's
top of my head.
around, it's like a 900, 500 split. So there's like
Yes.
500 people that are in the borough.
Yes,
And then the other 900 are around.
yes, it was like 1,400 people have signed up to receive
That's
Churchill
great.
notifications.
It's
I think
good,
that's
it's
so
easy with Savvy
interesting.
Citizen to get our neighbors. Wilkins was really quick posting the Beulah Road shutdown yesterday morning.
Yes.
And they were quick on posting the opening back up. So
Mhm.
So what you can do is where you work or other communities that you're interacting with, there's a possibility you might be a Savvy Citizen entity as well. And you can select which communities you want to get notifications from and choose to opt out or opt in.
Yeah, there's a lot of notifications. So if you're following a lot of neighboring communities, it might be a lot. So you can turn off certain things, like I don't want to
Mhm.
receive weather alerts, or I don't want to receive constant notifications from Wilkins. So you can turn that on or off, whatever way you please. But it is really nice.
Question, how many of the 1,200 or 1,300 are Churchill residents?
That's what he was
only?
just
Yeah,
saying.
it's about 500.
500.
So it's like
500?
1,400 who have signed up.
Okay, we gotta get that up
Yeah,
more,
we
but,
definitely need to
that's
get
still-
that.
We have 1,500
Households.
residents, you know.
right, 1,500 homes. So,
We're a third there.
Yeah,
well, and one thing to your point about, I think our communication has expanded a lot. And a good example is the rec board is putting on the Churchill dinner this Sunday, and I want to say to everybody out there, thank you for signing up. We had twice, this is the first time, I'm on the rec board as well, if anybody doesn't know that. This is the first time we're doing this in 5 years, because as, you know, this is after COVID. We had twice as many as we've ever had. And that, I think a lot of that has to do with Val and the communication committee and getting the word out in different ways where we didn't have Savvy Citizen before that. I'm not sure we even had much of a Facebook
Pretty much word of
page.
mouth.
Right, it was kind of
Yeah.
word of mouth, couple emails, which is still important,
newsletter.
but newsletter, but now we have even more. And I think that that made a big difference
It did.
because we got a big crowd.
A little bit
coming.
more than double, right?
Yes,
I think your
yes.
persistence did too.
Well,
Yes.
persistence, like you guys better sign up, tell your friends.
That's right.
But yeah, a little bit of persistence there, but I also think the communication has helped
Yes, it does.
tremendously. We were not expecting to get a number as big as we have for Sundays.
That's
So
amazing.
I think that's great.
There we
Yeah.
That's
go.
amazing.
Congratulations. on
And
that.
just a side note, I sit in one of some of the rec board meetings and these people work extremely hard.
Yeah, they do.
Not
They
just the
do.
dinner tonight, but you know, the thing coming up in August, Community Day, just all the things. It's not like I make a phone call, we're ready to go.
No,
Yeah, meeting after meeting, call this, do this, check that, check. that.
All
It's
logistics.
it's a lot of work.
right, it is. Yeah, and
And
it's
we
a
appreciate it.
team effort,
How many
yes.
people are coming?
84 now.
84.
Yeah,
Last
we
time I
usually
counted was
would get
70.
hover around 40. And we have 84,
All right.
right? I mean,
Congratulations.
that's really, and I want to say a shout out to Sharon Parati, who's one of our rec board members, because she did a lot of the initial organizing, going to different restaurants to say, okay, what can you give us? How can you make us a good, you know, and also getting the price down so it's reasonable and a very nice dinner. I mean, we would spend an hour going, okay, should we have salmon? Should we have this? You know, because we want to make it really nice for our residents and friends and family. It's not just you have to live in Churchill, but you know, that type of thing. There are some people from the Rotary club coming, and so Rotary Board. So I think, you know, it was a big group effort, and you're right, the rec board works really hard.
Well, then
So-
we can just segue right into climate action.
Right, okay, right. So climate action.
That keeps bringing snacks too to all the meetings. They come for the snacks.
Yeah, I do. I love snacks. So
Deb.
I could start doing that. Yeah, no, I do bring snacks because I like snacks. Okay, so climate action, we have a meeting, Matt, Andrea and I on Wednesday to talk about some of the things we've already been doing. You know, our main mission is education and information. And to your point about the newsletter, you know, we want to inform our residents as much as possible. So we're going to be talking about some of that and what we can put in the newsletter for the summer. Andrea is now our liaison with the tree committee and Ken Balke. So she's working closely with him with, you know, everything involving the tree committee. And Matt and Andrea and I, and even, I know Diane, you were even in on the discussion a while ago about, can we get recyclable bags for our residents and maybe have them pass them out at community day? So that's something we're going to discuss and work on. And oh, by the way, I had mentioned many meetings that this big ban on plastic bags was coming down the pike. It was supposed to be in April and then they put it off. Well, today I was talking to Penn Environment and now the ban is October 14th. So that's for the city of Pittsburgh. Plastic bags are going to be banned throughout. So it's just something important for our residents to know. If, you know, you're shopping at Giant Eagle, Squirrel Hill or something like that, you know, it doesn't affect us immediately right here in Churchill, but you know, we all shop and do things outside of our wonderful little borough. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And we'll be talking a little bit more and more specifics about that as well. And a few other things coming down the pike about solar energy. And there's some things happening that we might be able to help our residents. There's something called Solar United Neighbors, where if you can get your neighbors, you know, your community together, they can offer discounts on, you know, and that's your choice, but you know, discounts on applying solar energy panels or what have you in your house. And I will be getting more information about that, and that's going to go in the newsletter.
Awesome.
So I'll send that to you. So that's all I have.
That's great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a comment. I saw on Savvy Citizen, I think the video that Alex shared about climate action and our recycling.
Yeah.
So that was pretty neat. It was actually, you know, it's a tour from Waste Management of where our
It's a
recycling
great
actually
video.
goes and how
Mhm.
they sort it and everything. And certainly it's a learning opportunity, you know, if anyone's interested in seeing that and understanding how some of the items that maybe don't belong in recycling can, you know, mess up the process and make it difficult for other recycled items to get where they belong. So I encourage everyone to check it out. It's pretty neat.
It's a 7-minute. Oh, you
Cool.
did?
There's a quiz on it.
Right. Right.
It's not mandatory, thank goodness.
No. It's a 7-minute video. It's a 7-minute video, so it's not too long and it is super interesting. But it also gives you, like you said, Matt, a lot of information. Don't put this in there, don't put that in there.
Yeah, unfortunately, what they experience is that many people do like a wish recycling. I hope or wish this is recyclable. I'll put it in the can and let them sort it out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The problem with that is, and the video shows you, they show workers trying to untangle
Yep.
garden hoses
Yeah.
and other material that never should be put in a recycling bin,
Right.
but unfortunately is just put in there with the hopes that, well, I don't
Right.
get it. They won't. And if it contaminates the cardboard bale or the glass, you know, materials or the other materials they're trying to sort, they can't move them. And unfortunately, some of that material and a good bit of that material ends up in landfill. So all of the work that all of us are trying to do
Right.
gets short circuited because people are putting into the bin improper materials. But that video is fascinating.
Mhm.
It really is. And-
Was it on Savvy?
it-
Okay,
it's
yeah.
very- yeah.
Matt, you sent it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
saw it,
it's something
yeah.
worth
Yep.
watching.
Yeah.
It is. It's so good.
I took advantage of,
I think it
under
was
the
some-
new contract, I took advantage of the difficult to recycle service. And it was amazing. We had a big flat screen TV, which is, they're really hard to get rid of.
Mhm.
And they had an appointment, they came, they picked it up, that was it. So I'm very pleased with that contract.
No, because we're running, you know, with plenty of time, I'll share a quick funny anecdote. One of my neighbors the other day, you know, we were talking to one of my neighbors on the street and he came driving back and he's like, you know, was unloading some paint cans out of his car. And we're like, you know, what's going on? And he's like, oh, I tried to take these to wherever, but they closed and they don't take that stuff anymore. And we're like, I was like, well, you can just call and get that, like picked up at your door. He's like, no, I know, but my wife decided she wanted this cleaned out today. So, I think he ended up having someone come pick it up, but it was just funny.
Yeah, but you can go on the waste management website and they will also pick up not all appliances, but many
Yeah.
appliances, and I don't think people realize that. So, go on the website and then you can, it lists what they will do and not do, and you can schedule an appointment. They will come to your house. It's part of our contract,
Yep.
and they will pick up your appliance.
Well, I was around when we first started with waste management. and Believe me, the services that we get now are
Much better.
much better than they were originally. So I'm pleased with how that's progressing. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know what it said in that video, but I heard somewhere it says, when in doubt, throw it out.
Yes. Right.
My children want me to throw out everything. So, okay, next is ad hoc deer. Matt and I, are the ad hoc deer committee people. And we had what I think was very interesting meeting. First of all, I want to thank the Blackridge Civic Association. They permitted us to use their facility, and I think it's a good use of that local resource. It is a much bigger room and has lots of parking, and hopefully we'll use that again. We had 22 people who signed in. We had more than that in the room, and we had 14 people who spoke.
I counted 38.
Yeah.
Because they
didn't
drifted
sign in. But
No, they didn't sign in, but I counted 38.
Okay, that's good. Well, we had,
I love it.
it was a very interesting experience. And once again, I just want to say that you have people who are very frustrated about deer. And they could be very frustrated at us. And instead, what we heard, for the most part, were people who said, I'm really having a hard time with this. I really want you to do something about this, but I know it's really, really difficult to do anything about this. And it was so nice because they know how hard this is and they really appreciate that we're trying. So, I don't know what else you might want to say about it, Matt, but that was my takeaway.
No, I thought it was fantastic. I appreciated all our residents and other visitors that came out to that meeting. Again, I think the general theme is even folks that are really like the deer are saying, hey, there could be a problem. We need to understand if there is, and then figure out how to work on that, and understanding that it's probably something that's going to need a regional approach. The only other thing I'd say is just as a reminder, any feeding of any wildlife is against our ordinances. So, please folks, don't be feeding the wildlife. If, anyone does see that, please report it to the borough office because it does cause larger problems. Well, it may, people may think it's nice. Even I was just reading on, as part of our research on deer that, the deer that are fed the corn in the winter, it doesn't actually help them because, their natural instinct is to kind of stay put where they are, conserve their body fat. They don't do a whole lot of moving around and they survive the winter just fine. When there's corn, somebody's feeding corn or whatever else, then they go expending a bunch of energy, walking out to a field that's cold instead of hunkered down where they're supposed to live, it actually puts them in more danger. So make sure you're not feeding the wildlife, and certainly if it's seen in Churchill, please report it.
Thank you for raising that because we're going to be preparing a report for those of us who went to the Allegheny League of Municipalities Spring Conference. And we just needed to have a little more time to get that together. But in the course of that meeting, I met a woman who is a council member in Oakmont. And there were speakers at the meeting. They were going to be talking about wildlife, I thought, and so that's why I went, but they're pretty much focused on feral cats.
Yeah.
So, but there were people there from the state Humane Society and the national, and she had arranged with them to do a Zoom meeting, which I was invited to attend. And just from that alone, I learned a great deal about the Humane Society's approach. And it's much of what Matt is saying, that if you really have to understand the animal, in order to understand how you deal with the animal. And you have to understand about the feeding. The feeding is really bad for deer. The other thing that I learned from that meeting, and we'll do a whole other thing about this, but the other thing I learned about that meeting was there are big differences in the density of deer, even near us. And I haven't done a study, but from what I have heard, I think there's very likely a correlation between the density of the deer in a given community and how many people in that community are feeding those deer.
Okay.
And that is not something that I had focused on before. But I think that's an area of inquiry for us, Matt, to see if someone has done that work. Because that puts teeth into our ordinance against feeding. I know there are people,
So just to be clear, Vice President, while you were saying that the National Humane Society
yes,
is more than just like the dogs and the cats.
Oh, yeah.
They have a focus, one of
Wildlife.
their focuses on wildlife, including deer.
that's right.
And then I wanted to make sure I clarified, we did get a resident submit a comment today.
Mhm.
Over the next few days, if more comments come in, because we talked about comments being up until the end of April.
Yeah.
But if you were getting more comments over the next week, let's say, or next couple of days
Right.
from residents, you're good with
We
that.
want to hear from anybody who has something to say. Absolutely. Okay, any questions about the deer?
I have a question. Prior to the deer meeting, you were saying that the meeting would be taped and I guess posted on the website or Facebook page. Did that happen, and when will the video be posted?
That was my epic fail.
No,
I had a camera and I had a laptop ready to go, but. failed
There
to
was,
execute.
there were some technical
There were
difficulties that
technical-
evening,
It's very
unfortunately.
difficult, Brooke, because
Sorry about
it's
that.
very echoey. The acoustics are really bad, and the way we had to set it up was that we would have been looking at the back of people. So it wasn't, it was a combination of problems, that made that difficult. But I'm certainly willing to talk to anybody who'd like to get any more details about what happened at
Sorry
that
about
meeting or what we're doing or anything.
What seemed to come out in that meeting, people were not so much concerned about the deer eating their vegetation, but it was the ticks.
Yes, that was
So
a
they
big,
were really, a lot of
Right.
people made comments
That's
about
true.
having
Mhm.
headlines in the past, worried about the ticks. Woman with the dog and the coyote,
Mhm.
that kind of thing, because the baby deer attracted coyotes, those are tick things.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's that, as we pursue the science about this, I know from our prior investigation, and I'm sure that there's been some since. There's some misunderstanding about the role that deer play in the life of ticks. And, we'll be looking at that and pursuing that and this is all about getting facts. And, I think Matt and I are both very committed to that approach, so, we'll move along and get our answers.
And don't think that the cold, you can't get with a cold, because I had to pick one off my chest
Yes.
from Saturday, when we're out doing some yard work.
Uh-huh.
And I was at the doctor this morning, so I think, with some medicine, they give you an antibiotic,
Yeah.
just in case.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because you try to pick my tweezers, they say is the best removal, not heat or Vaseline.
Yeah.
They make those like,
I
those
tried,
tick,
I
and it
tried,
run.
didn't work, but I couldn't get them all out in one piece, and I was
Oh.
afraid, so I did end up at the doctor's this morning, with, I'm taking the. Doxycycline, yeah,
Yeah.
2 tablets and that's it.
I had an old fashioned grandfather who had his own. I won't discuss it. Right. So,
Shot of something.
Brook Ad Hoc Education Committee,
So on April 19th, the school board had a legislative meeting, and the Board of School Directors approved the annual tax levy for the 2023-2024 school year, which resulted in a reduction in the millage by 0.5. There was also a resolution approved to furlough a number of teaching staff and support staff as well. I met with the president of the Board of School Directors on the 7th of April. We kind of just discussed what's going on with the school district, as well as relations between the borough and the district. There's an upcoming meeting on Wednesday, May 3rd. It's the Woodland Hills School District Board of school directors will host a curriculum committee meeting. It will only be in person, but that will be at the Central Administrative Building. And then the agenda setting meeting is scheduled for May 10th, as well as the legislative meeting for May 17th. And all of that information is in the report.
Well, do they still have the curriculum meetings at 5 o'clock?
It's at 6 p.m.
It's at 6, okay, because they used to be at 5. We used to attend those. We would try to attend those. And, you know, again, they are, if you go to the curriculum meetings, you find out how amazing some of the things are that they are doing in this school district. And it's, you know, it's very frustrating that people don't know. I would say also that the school board meeting is available on YouTube.
Yep.
And the first part of the last meeting, their legislative meeting, they have the whole explanation from the superintendent about the budget, about why they were able to cut and how it's worth every taxpayer going and looking at that part of the presentation. It's a long meeting, but it's like the first maybe half hour. I would look at it. It explains, I mean, they had to reduce because they basically were overstaffed in certain areas. Because they've lost students. Right, you know, charter schools and so on. So anyway, thank you for that report, Brooke. And are you going to be going to the curriculum meeting, or is that a bad time for you?
I will keep you posted.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I'm sure you're going to be more and more interested in what they have to say. It's pretty fascinating. Okay, so we already covered really the ad hoc zoning. Yeah. So anybody have any other questions about that now? No. Okay. Anything else you want to say, Counselor? No? Paul, you want to?
Yeah, I have a couple things I just want to briefly touch. And Deb already talked about the Celebrate Churchill dinner on May 7th, and we have a full vote for that. And I always have to mention the Rotary golf outing. We can no longer accept any more golfers. We're at the maximum, was like in 36 foursome.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
We have that.
Yeah,
But there's still plenty of room for dinner. So 36 foursomes.
You're gonna need 2 days.
Right. But if you can come with just a dinner ticket.
Yeah, and it's not till May 30th, so there's
Right.
still time to get in the dinner, or like I say, again, this is a major fundraiser for the Rotary. Donations or sponsored tea, come to dinner and just
Right.
enjoy the evening.
And we guarantee much better weather than today,
Yes.
because it's the end of the month.
And I wanted to mention that, Public Works Department, I haven't seen it yet, but I was told today by Ralph. They cleaned up Business 22 down there.
Yes.
You know, all those rocks and
It-
stuff that was all over the sidewalks.
Mhm.
You know, they did, they did a good job. I know they got, but, we're trying for quite a while to get that stuff cleaned up, but. So they finally got, we're able to take care of that. And also today, I met with the chief. We had some big, long discussion about what has taken place past couple of days with the accidents in the borough. You know, without sparing you the gory details. It was something that our officers were, like you say, professionalism and to the T, how they handled the whole thing. So, and I talked to, Justin Hawk was one of them, Steve Shawless was on duty when that happened too. And I talked to those two guys too.
Yeah. Good.
Oh, this is a good, I was asked by Mayor Frank Porco, he invited us, the borough, Churchill Borough, to join Forest Hills Borough on their Memorial Day celebration, which would be down at the Borough Building on Greens Bay Pike. And I said, yeah, definitely we would be interested in coming.
Sure.
We can have a group of our council people and other
Absolutely.
people to get down and be part of that, because I explained to them, we really don't have a plaza in our
No,
borough
we don't.
to have any kind of ceremonies. We got a little parking lot out here, where they have a nice big thing there.
Yeah.
I've been to it in the past, and they bring some people, play the bugle and all. It's a nice thing. So, I'll get more details from him and see where, I'll make
Great.
sure that I get back to council about that.
Okay.
Is it on Memorial Day or the weekend?
I'm not sure. I have to get back with
All right.
him, so I'll let everybody know where it is. And then I talked about that, the update of the resident list. For the police department, so you know who's in there. And the other thing too, not many people listening, but you know, the house numbers on houses really is an important thing. When I go out to deliver these packets, I'm driving down the street, I can't find house numbers. It's, and I can imagine what the fire department or police or EMS are doing when they're driving up and down the street and can't find a house number.
It's a safety issue. I think about.
Was it, we discussed this, that
We did it on a newsletter
It should have been a
article.
newsletter.
Yes.
Matt wrote a lovely article
It
Yeah.
really was.
about it.
Lovely.
I
Pictures.
painted mine
With
up with
pictures.
this result.
Right.
Valerie.
With
Yeah.
pictures.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
Some people
thorough.
have like the little 2 inch,
Yeah,
2 inch tall number up on the door.
Mhm.
It's the same color as the door.
well, maybe we need to take a look at tightening that up. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just,
because it is dangerous. It's dangerous for the police
Right.
officers.
I mean, is it
firefighters.
possible, I don't know if this is possible, when somebody does notice that maybe it's harder to read a number, can we reach out to the homeowners themselves and especially the police?
Yeah, probably the best approach for something like that is similar to, you know, how we've done things in the past, like when we first kind of got the new garbage contract and people were leaving cans out for a long time, is, you know,
Yeah.
start by asking, you know, our public works folks as they're out, you know, and they notice those to, you know, kind of do a door tag reminder for folks saying, hey,
Yeah.
you know, as a reminder, as part of the ordinance, you know, having visible, you know, minimum 4-inch letters, you know, available that are reflective. You know, as part of your address is required.
Yeah,
And, you know, it gives people the opportunity in case they didn't know or didn't hear, get, you know, didn't see it in the newsletter.
Yeah.
A good reminder, you know, and then typically after, I think, you know, it's the better way. And then after that, we can, you know, then go forward.
I
If
agree.
there's folks that still need another reminder, we'd look at, you know, our opportunity to have our code enforcement officer, you know.
I like the door hanger idea.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Mhm.
When our guys are driving around, if they see it, we can have them print it up and then they just put it on the door and say, we noticed, and this is why, you know?
Yeah.
So, okay, that's good.
and
Like
maybe we
that.
could add something to the, welcome packet too.
that's what I was
Yeah.
just
A
thinking,
special,
yeah.
you know,
There you go.
special
right.
letter say, new residents, make sure the house
Mhm.
numbers are visible.
Well, I mean, that would be part of the occupancy inspection, you know, so if those aren't, you know, done, then before they're able to be a new resident, that would be part of the occupancy inspection and would be required to be, you know, fixed.
Right. Good. Say, where there's a will,
So
there's a
there's
way.
some, if we can get door hangers or something.
I would also like to add, I mean, depending on what our financial situation or budget is, but maybe the borough could look at a uniform door, home address stake that we can put in the yards. So that way it's consistent, because there may be an issue where some people have posted their address and feel that it's visible, and then to someone else, it's not visible. So maybe if we come up with a uniform approach, we can figure out how to address each home with a little stake maybe at the front of the lawn. So it would be easy for emergency services to know what house is which.
That's what
Yeah,
it is.
look, to that point, I think in some communities I've seen where they actually paint the house number on the curb.
Is it legal though?
don't
Sometimes
know.
it's
Yeah,
illegal.
whatever we'll do, and Brooke, that's a great idea. Whatever
Yeah.
we'll do, we'll work through both our ordinance and our emergency service folks to do that best practice. I'm
Mhm.
sure we can learn from other
I
communities.
don't think I wanna, I'm not one for writing, painting on
Yeah.
the curb.
We just
That kind
don't,
of
yeah, we don't
tacky.
have many curves. They're almost.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No,
We
yeah, we don't have
curves.
I will nix that.
On the driveway.
On the driveway.
But I like the idea of
Yeah.
engaging our first responders in that discussion.
Yeah.
As well as our code officer.
Well, because they're the ones that would
Yeah.
use it the most.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
that's,
Or
somebody
like
called.
Brooke says too, if we had a place to say it's either to the left side of your door or so that you know where to look.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, in my neighborhood, we all have, the boxes out on the street,
Yes,
you know, so that's pretty identical, because you just look on the,
Right.
people usually have them there. But in other neighborhoods, they, you know, they still have the mailbox up at the door.
door.
well, they say best practices is to have the numbers on the house and then the numbers close to the street.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And,
similar to like the vector signs, like people who have vector security, sometimes on the sign, it will identify 2335. So that way, you know exactly what home address is associated with this particular property. So something that's small and not too, you know, invasive, but still something that would be visible and uniform for all of the properties.
We also make like those reflective stickers, so like, let's say, depending on the, just throwing out an idea here, like a steak and then put those stickers on there or something. I don't know. We can
Work it
discuss.
through-
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
work it
look.
through our system and see what
Mhm.
makes.
That's a good
sense.
idea. Thanks,
Right?
Brooke.
Okay, thank you. Now, I think, folks, that is all we have for this evening. Does anyone else have anything else that you'd like?
Just one more item. Our fearless leader is not able to be here today
Yes.
because he has a family, meeting to
Tragedy.
attend to.
The
Yeah,
tragedy.
tragedy.
Yes.
But he and Senator Costa amazingly
You're
were
gonna
able
say-
Oh,
to,
yeah.
we had a signed contract today delivered to the borough from
Right.
DCD, the Commonwealth, $4 million grant. This is unheard of for our
Yes.
borough. I don't think we've ever had anything close to $1 million grant. And Jay Doran and Jay Costa worked a ton hard on that.
Absolutely.
It deals with the accessible play park that we've discussed for some time. And now the scary part, and be careful what you wish for. Huh? Because now we've got to like really deliver, because this is a big grant for a very small community. Thanks again to Senator Costa. And we're going, we have timelines and contract agreements now to do. And a lot of design work and a lot of effort is going to have to be.
This
poured
is a
into this.
goal that Jay has had almost as long as I've known.
Yeah, I
him.
hate to steal his thunder, but I think it's important for people to understand.
He
We
worked
just
so
got
hard.
today
He worked-
signed
I
contract.
saw that email
It's been
come
a
through. I was
long
like,
haul.
oh, finally.
Yeah.
And the
we're gonna-
goal is that we will have a park that is accessible to any child, all children.
And explain where the park will be.
Well, we're not sure at this
Yeah,
point. We're not
Okay,
sure.
not
That's
sure.
That's
Yeah.
all of the
There's
design.
a lot of
and
due
so on.
diligence that we're gonna have to do to deliver well.
Yes,
We've been entrusted with a great opportunity,
Right.
again, thanks to the state senator. And now it's a time for, all of a sudden, I look at our engineer and others.
I was like sweating already.
yeah.
To make this happen.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
and there
Thank
may
you,
need
two
to be,
J's.
I think there'll likely need to be some more fundraising and some
Yes,
other
there
things to
certainly
make
will.
this.
Yeah.
There certainly
Not
will.
to mention also regional discussions among
Yes.
partnering communities about how to best do this. But
Yes,
the
it'll be a
first
regional
Monumental
asset.
step
Yeah.
has been achieved.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. I mean, I can't tell you how happy I was when I got that, because I know what this means to him. And it's,
Well, he's worked real hard for
he
the
sure has.
kids in our community. That
Yep.
was really great.
Yeah, but thanks for raising that. I wasn't sure we were gonna bring that up tonight or not, because he's not here, but I understand you wanna do that, so that's good. All right. Anything else anyone has? Yes.
I have a lot. No, not really. I want to remind everybody, midnight tonight, Business 22 is going to come down to a single lane.
Yep.
Until July.
Yep.
And so I think it's between Nottingham and Carl's Restaurant over there. I'm not sure. I think that's more or less the area. But it's construction through July, and there's going to be some traffic nightmares.
I thought it was the whole ramp.
Is it the whole ramp?
There's a lot going on, actually, because of the weather. I think they're moving it to tomorrow or sometime.
Oh, really?
Everything's
Okay.
With construction is weather related,
Mhm.
and they did send us, the contractor sent something about 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think Ralph was saying that it's starting at the exit ramp.
Yeah.
on Business Street.
Okay,
It's gonna end at 48, on 48.
okay.
So throughout throughout the whole project,
Okay.
it's gonna be all the way out. to
Yeah,
the street.
so,
But they're doing it a section.
Yeah, there's
Right.
gonna be some phased construction. They are gonna be
Mhm.
working on that structure down at the bottom like you're talking about. So it'll be a crossover where all the traffic will be on one
Right.
side of the bridge.
One lane each way.
mhm.
Take that every
Right.
single day.
And I also want to do a major shout out to Woodland Hills High School.
Oh, yeah.
I was at the Seussical musical on Saturday, and stupendous, amazing, spectacular. I don't know how many more superlatives I can throw in there. And and all their productions are great. This was even, I think, better than all the other ones I've seen. I mean, I had goosebumps watching, and just kudos to the cast, the crew, the costume designers, the director extraordinaire, Thomas Brown.
Parents.
The parents, right, but everybody else behind the scenes, it was just a fantastic performance. Those students are just amazing, and I just was really proud of them. They did a terrific job.
I'm always tickled to send new residents, I
Yeah,
know it's a high school thing, but
No,
you
it's-
need to go see it, and they're
Right.
just dazzle
Mhm.
every time.
And thanks to the borough for the ad in the.
Yeah.
program.
That was
a-
nice.
a Nice full page ad.
Mhm.
It lets them know that, we're thinking about them.
Right.
We weren't the only borough in there. There was, Braddock Hills,
Right.
Braddock, so.
Mhm.
that
No,
was-
we are, yeah,
Those kids read that stuff, parents read
Sure
it.
they
So
do.
sure.
we're a big part of that, we're a big part of that school.
It's another thing, it's amazing that the program is about the size.
It's like a
of-
book. I know, it's so thick, I know.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, I know it is.
Lots of support. Lots of
That's
support.
awesome.
Also
Yeah.
other Woodland Hills news, I like, it's good to promote a
Mhm.
lot of the positive things they do. And I had mentioned this before, May 10th to 20th, many of the art students from Woodland Hills were
yes.
selected. Their art will be showcased at the Carnegie Museum of Art. So that's May 10th to the 12th. That's a fantastic, prestigious
Mhm.
thing.
Amazing.
You get to look from, you're gonna have another tree planting,
Oh,
May 3rd.
May 3rd?
Is it high school? It may be at the high
I
school.
think so, right.
It was with Pittsburgh and
Mhm.
and a lot of people don't know this, but Woodland Hills was the first in the state, if not the country, to have a climate action.
Climate
committee.
action, and they've won national awards for it
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. So
Yeah,
that,
it's at the Woodland Hills Senior High School this Wednesday, with Tree Pittsburgh. The students plant 150 trees back on April 14th.
It's a green space, yeah.
At the green space, and just tremendous to see the kids, in action, getting it done.
Well, and they love it. They love the
Mhm.
opportunity. It's great.
also, one more thing, there is a student, he's a senior at Woodland Hills High School. And they just announced that he received the prestigious Gates Scholarship from the Bill and Linda Gates Foundation. That covers all of his scholarship costs. And there are only a couple hundred in the entire country. Yeah, and he was,
Fantastic.
That's
and he was
amazing.
chosen, and that's really amazing. And the only one in Western Pennsylvania, and it's from our school district, and I just think that that's
Thank you for
fantastic.
highlighting that because
Mhm.
otherwise they probably wouldn't know.
No, but it's nice to know, we have some real special kids there,
Oh, there are special kids, there's special teachers. there's
and special
all kinds of
teacher,
stuff there,
everything,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's all I have to say.
Okay, is that it? Anybody else? Okay,
Just want to
Then-
remind you that today is the final day to register to vote. If you have anyone who is unregistered, please make sure that you go to votepa.gov and register because today is the final day. And remember that the primary is May 16th. And I hope to see the community out participating in the election.
okay,
All right,
all right. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay. That's it. Thank you very
Game,
much.
set, match.
Someone's gonna say it, right?
That's it.
I wasn't.
Right, who was gonna say it, right?
Thank you, folks. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.